Right, folks, welcome back to another episode of the Friel Goalkeeper podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by Oisin Cooney, current Finn Harps goalkeeper and underage Irish international. Oisin, thanks very much for coming on and agreeing to be a guest.
No, thanks very much for inviting me on, Sean. Some of the names that have been on already been on here, and privileged to be on.
Yeah, so we're another member, another sort of joining the list there of Finn Harps goalkeepers. So yeah, listen, you've we'll go into basically a bit about you. For those who don't know, you sort of had a very rapid rise over the last, I would say, 12 months certainly. So we'll touch upon that. So. Um, Tell us a bit about sort of the last 6 months, Oshin. We had Tim Heimer. He was a guest, one of our first guests. He unfortunately, I think, picked up an injury, and you broke in, got an opportunity into the Finn Harps first team after being very successful in the underage level between 15s, 17s, a little bit with the 20s this year. So just go in there. You, as I say, you broke in. Maybe tell us a little bit about the last 6 months and how it's looked for
Aye.
Oisin Cooney.
The start of the year, the start of the season, it was just me and Tim in pre-season, and then coming up, it was the first game of the season, and I was going to be away with the Irish schoolboys. So they put another one of the academy keepers on the bench at the time, Ryan Galvin. Um, so it was looking like I was going to be number two for the season, and then on deadline day, I found out the news that they brought in Connor Walsh, another young goalkeeper from Sligo. So the start of the season, I wouldn't say I was the number three, but I wasn't making squads. So Connor Walsh,
Mm-hmm.
he was going to be pushing Tim, but competition's good, like. So it ended up that Connor was number two for the first 6 months, and then Connor went back to Sligo, and then ended up going to Wexford. So then I was the number two for the second half of the season, and then Tim picked up a groin injury. Just I think it was around August time, and I was carrying a bit of a shoulder injury too at the time, and we were heading down to UCD, and was chatting to Tim going down in the bus. He's like, yeah, the groin feels fine and feels grand, and the two of us were kind of laughing because the both of us were going down, and neither of
Mm.
us were fit. Like so, then the hotel before the game, just went into the team meeting. Didn't really expect anything, and Murph put up the starting 11, and there I was up on the screen, and just at the time, like I didn't even feel shocked at the time because I'd been waiting for the opportunity for so long, and just went and done my thing down in UCD, and was lucky enough that stayed in then for the rest of the season. Thought I'd done well, and Murph just said to me, "Listen, Oshin, for the next game we were home to Cove, and he said, listen, I can't drop you here." And so then it ended up with just kind of built momentum, and luckily I stayed in for the season and finished it out.
So you were talking there about that game against UCD when you did get named as a starting keeper. It didn't really phase you, would you say? How did you feel? Were you nervous or?
Oh, I was definitely nervous, like, but you just been waiting. I was more buzzing, like, kind of the injury just kind of left my head, like it was carrying a bit of an injury on my shoulder and my AC joint, and was kind of nursing that a wee bit. But I think that I was that buzzing, like that probably carried me through the game. But 100%, I was nervous going into the game, but it was an opportunity that I've been waiting for 18 months, really, being in around the first team, and just wanted to grab it with both hands. And luckily enough, the game went well enough for me. We did lose the game 2-0, but felt they played well. UCD are a great side, and I know Wally O'Connor as well. He's the UCD manager, so no, I felt they done well down there.
And you say you were waiting on that opportunity going into the season. Did you sort of have in the back of your mind, obviously, um, Walsh came in and sort of, I suppose you were expecting to be number two, and things changed. Did you go into the start of the season thinking, you know what, I really want to push, I want to challenge, I want to make that breakthrough into the first team? What was your expectations?
So my first year under Dave, it was more just a learning year for me. Like I was 15 when I came in to Harps first team under Dave, and literally that was just a year for me to get up to speed, get up to the standard, and just take it as a year of learning. Like that year, I was just a sponge. I was learning from Tim. I was learning from Rory Kelly when Rory came in. Tuta. So I experienced a lot that year, and I made my debut at the end of that season. But it was the last game of the season. At the end of the day, it didn't really mean much. Like we were outside of the playoffs, so it was more just as a reward from Murph for the hard work I'd put in. But then heading into pre-season this year, looked like I was going to be number two, and I just said this year, like I wanted to get games. I wanted to get a couple of games. Obviously, Tim's a brilliant keeper. He was going to be the number one, but I wanted to push him all the way, and I think I done that this year. So yeah, I was
Hmm.
happy enough. But obviously, Connor came in then. But in football, that's just football for your deadline day. People come in unexpectedly, but listen, me and Connor get on really well. Still keep in touch with them, and listen, competition's good. Competition pushes you to the next level. So looking back, it was probably one of the best things that could have happened, but it didn't feel good at the time. But that's just football.
Hmm. Yeah, and I was very fortunate. I did get to watch a few of your games when you were sort of getting yourself established as that number one for the rest of the season. You did speak there playing against UCD. Oh, naturally enough, making your sort of playing your first game that year, feeling quite nervous. Once you'd sort of got that run of games, did you really feel? Because from the outside looking in, you didn't seem out of place. You looked to seem very, you have a good presence in the goal, but you seem to be very comfortable in there playing at that level.
I know. I think the group really helped that. Like they just made you feel comfortable. Like there was boys in the team. Like obviously Tony McNamee. Like of huge amounts of time for Tony. He really helped me when I was breaking in. Obviously knowing you've the backing of the staff as well, and it's not easy as coaching staff to trust a 17-year-old. Well, 16 when I made my debut, but 17
Mm.
this year, and putting a 17-year-old in goal and putting all that responsibility. But listen, Murph done it, and I'm hugely grateful for that. But I think the reason that I felt good in my own skin was the lads around me. Like you've boys there, as I say, Tony, David Colley, Connor Turish, and them boys would fill you with confidence. You could not feel confident going games with them boys in the dressing room and knowing them boys are backing you.
Yeah, and I suppose something that has been a real positive for Finn Harps the last couple of years, particularly now under Murphy, the new management, is young lads breaking through, and we will touch upon, I suppose, yourself and Gavin McAteer were really the two breakout stars in terms of young players this year. How's it been working under Darren? Is it what have you learned, and how has he sort of put his trust into you as a young player?
Murph's been absolutely brilliant, and you know, at the start of the year, I was kind of away a bit with international duty and stuff, and I know other managers from chatting to boys at other clubs, they're not always so good about it and say go off and do your thing. They can be a bit, oh, what we need you back and stuff like that. But that was never the case with Murph, and he was just saying, listen, go away, do your thing, and he keep in touch with me while I was away and stuff like that. And it's nice going away knowing that you have the backing of the manager and that sort of thing. But Murph's been really good. He's been probably very different to any managers we've worked under before. He's not a manager that's going to come onto the training pitch screaming and shouting. If he's something to say, he gets his point across well, and I think he knows who he's dealing with as well. Like players react differently. Some players need a bit of a shouting and a screaming, and other lads just need a quiet word. But he's been really good for the young players, like, and he's always gonna have a chat to you, make sure everything's alright, pull you to the side if he's something to say to you. And he's been really good, and now his man management's really good.
And what would you describe yourself as? Are you someone that needs a bit of an arm around the shoulder, or do you respond better to a bit of a, I don't know, a firmer touch or a firmer line?
Probably a wee bit firmer, but no, it's more Eamon Curry. Like if I need a wee bit of a kick on, it's more Eamon that I give it, and listen, I have a great relationship with Eamon. Me and Eamon keep in touch quite a bit. We're over and back all the time about different bits, and Eamon's been really good for me this year, and he's been there for me in the high times and the low times, and it's easy to be chatting to someone and keeping in with them and seeing how things are going when times are going well, but it's just important, and it's harder when things aren't going so well. And even when I was third choice and felt kind of a wee bit disconnected from the squad, Eamon definitely made me feel connected and felt valued in the environment.
Yeah, no, very good. And as we were saying, we were speaking a little bit before we started recording. You got that run of games, you sort of established. I have to say now your performances were top drawer. And I spoke there about Gavin as well, who did excellent as well for several games this year as well. You had recently experienced 6 weeks ago, the news started to spread that you and Gavin had been invited over to Nottingham Forest to go on trial, which from the outside looking in, went to be quite successful for both lads. Do you want to touch upon that experience? And then you did mention another semi big club that you were over with as well. We can speak about also.
No, it was no, it was great excitement near the end of the season. I think there was one game to go when the news broke. It was midweek. I actually remember I was up in my room doing a bit of study and had the phone charging, and my phone just started hopping, and I looked at my phone and the news had broke. And so I think that broke midweek, and then we had a game on the Friday night, the last game of the season, at home to Treaty. And so we played Treaty on the Friday night, and then myself and Gavin and his father flew out to Nottingham Forest then on the Sunday. But it was hard at the time for myself and Gavin. Just all the buzz being around Finn Park that we were going away, but knowing that you have to put in a big performance on the Friday night. But the way I am, I just focus one day at a time, and I didn't really have my mind on Nottingham Forest until I was walking out of Finn Park on Friday night. But it was absolutely brilliant. All the supporters and everyone wishing you well. Like, people couldn't have been better, and Murph and Kevin and Eamon and the players all wishing us well. And no, it was brilliant. But then when we went over, and myself and Gavin were staying with a host family, so the two of us were staying in the one house. But no, it was absolutely brilliant, and we were over with Nottingham Forest, and we were lucky enough to play in a trial game against Hull, and Murph came over to watch and stuff. But no, we both felt it went well, so no, it was a great experience for the two of us.
And was that the first club you've been over with on trial, Oisin?
I know that was my first trial I was ever at, but I don't think it could have been better the way that it was planned, because it was both myself and Gavin's first trial, and it was nice that we were over together. Because we kind of bounce off each other, but it was mad, like just going from Finn Park to over there, like, and just seeing the facilities over there. It's just a different level, and even like coming in the morning, getting your breakfast, doing your gym work, then straight out onto the pitch, and then back in, get your lunch, and then doing gym work. Like, that's unheard of over here, but it just shows the level over there. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, and listen, contrary to popular belief, Finn Harps are pretty professional in what they do and how they approach, football, particularly senior football. And you spoke about it a little bit there, what were the key differences besides, things like getting your breakfast and the gym work? What sort of gaps or differences do you see between that super professional environment and then sort of the environment within the League of Ireland?
I think in England, especially at that level, I think it's more a lifestyle where
Hmm.
football is your life. Um, like the lads over there, they're just going into the training ground, doing everything at training, and that's all you have to worry about is training. Whereas I look at our dress room at Finn Harps, you have lads in school, you have lads in college, you have lads working, full days. I think that's the difference, and especially in England, like I look at the contact hours that the coaches have with the players. Like, I'd say they get more contact time maybe in 1 or 2 days than the coaches in Ireland do in a week. Like it's just mental, the contact time with the players and the amount of time the players actually spend together. Whereas in Ireland, it's you go to training, do your bits and pieces, out onto the pitch, Sheridan home. Whereas there's it's huge. The contact time I think's massive,
Mm.
and then as well the level of analysis that they go into over there. Like they record, like for the goalkeeping perspective, to bring a GoPro out onto the pitch for every training session. And then they drone footage the goalkeeper session. So you're
Okay.
there in the morning after your breakfast and you're having a chat with the goalkeeper coach and he's pulling up clips of you in training. Whereas at home they focus a lot on the game stuff. Whereas they're doing analysis every day, day in, day out. But so I think that's just the difference in the level.
And what sort of feedback were you receiving? I'm assuming you got access to like kind of that drone footage, GoPro footage. What sort of feedback were you receiving there from the coaches at Nottingham Forest?
A lot of it is they go into they break it down so much, like the biomechanics of goalkeeping, like your where you're they get over there it's head, hands, feet. So your head position, your hand position, your feet position. But every single goal over there they're breaking down. Why did you not save this? It's not like, oh, that was a worldie. Meaning
Mm.
that's never it's how could you save this? But I love that over there. Like they don't accept anything but the best. Um, but the standard and the training was unbelievable. I was
Mm.
in with under 21s keepers, and one of the keepers was he was third choice for the first team, a lad called Aaron Bott. But the standard was just phenomenal, and you knew if you drop your standard that you were going to struggle because the other lads would just blow you out of the water. So everyone was on their A game.
And were you with the under 20s that whole trial period?
So the goalkeeping was a wee bit different. The under 18s and then the under 21s goalkeepers done their training together. So it was a big goalkeeper group for the numbers. And then myself and Gavin, I just joined in with under 18s then for the outfield session. And then the game that we played in, myself and Gavin, was an under 19 game.
Okay.
A few lads
Yeah.
that weren't getting minutes with it, under 21s maybe, or under lads from the under 18s that come up, stuff like that.
Yeah, and this is what people, maybe for listeners that aren't aware, because I would have taught in England for a couple of years, and we would have had lads going on to Spurs and Norwich and so on. You at the moment, you're sitting your leaving cert, sort of in a couple of months. You're still in full time education. The lads over there, once they get their GCSEs at 16, they're not really. They might do a BTEC course or some sort of additional, just something to fall back on. But as you say, the contact time, they're able to live the footballer lifestyle 24/7, 365. Whereas, yourself, you're still full time education, still trying to balance that. It does make it very challenging for lads based in Ireland. And that's something, I think I will touch upon, I think, in a little while, but it's something that I'm sure is very, very challenging, and it's very hard to compete with, essentially.
No, it is challenging, and especially with the away games that we've had. Like I'd say every second Friday, I've had to take the full day off school. And listen, my school has been incredibly accommodating, and
Mm.
like everyone's wishing you well at school and all that, and they don't have a problem with it. But you are missing out at the end of the day, and it's up to you to catch up.
Hmm.
Whereas over here, education's your priority and your football is to work around that. Whereas lads my age over there, football's your priority, and where you can, you fit in your education. As
Yeah.
you say, a lot of lads over there are doing their BTEC courses. A lot of them are doing sports science, and that's a lot of that's done within the club. So normally over there, the boys will be in about 8:30, and then they're done your football related stuff at about 3, and then they're maybe doing 2 hours of study then in the evening on their BTEC course. But no,
Hmm.
it's totally different over here.
And then I think we'll go into it. Like you're saying you're away every other Friday, taking the days off school. The school's been quite accommodating. You go to Carndonagh Community School, and they've been quite accommodating. And then you've obviously had a couple of trial periods. You've been away, um, international breaks as well. What sort of things have you done to sort of manage that? Because I think that'd be somewhat beneficial for anyone, any young footballers or goalkeepers listening. How have you managed to balance, education and football?
No, it has been quite tough, but I think it's all just your preparation and your planning. And if you get, like, if you're away with, if I know I'm heading away with Ireland, you normally get about a week's notice. So you just go around, maybe have a quiet word with your teachers. Don't I try to not make a song and dance about it, but just go in and have a quiet word and say, listen, I'm going to be away for the next 10 days. What's your plan? What's on the agenda for when I'm away? And normally they're quite open and honest. And listen, technology now, you have access to
Mm,
everything, so they can email you out the work, they can post it. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. The teachers can give you the work, they have no problem, but it's up to you to do it. So when you're away, normally you do get rest periods, and they know that there is lads. I know there is lads within the Ireland squads that are over in England and Europe and stuff, but they know there is home-based lads as well that are in the same boat as me. But where you get an hour here, half an hour there, you just have to keep chipping away at it. And as I say, like, a little bit's better than nothing. Like, if you get
mm.
15 minutes, 20 minutes, just try and do a bit. But no, the school, like, I can't thank the school enough, like, because they've been so accommodating. Whether it's been away on a Friday with Harps, or away with Ireland, or away on trial, they've been absolutely top, and the teachers have been really good and really accommodating.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% on the button there. A little goes a long way, and you know, just getting fitting in that 15, 20 minutes will pay off in the long run. So I think, yeah, fair play that you're able to sort of balance that, and you seem to have your head screwed on, which is going to go a long way both for football and your education too. So no, definitely fair play. We spoke as well. You had a fantastic experience over at Nottingham Forest. That was 6 weeks ago. And then in the last couple of weeks, you were at another club. Do you want to touch on that, Oshin?
Yeah, so at the end of the season, obviously went over to Nottingham, and then I come back from Nottingham, and I heard that Newcastle were interested in getting me over in trial, and I tried to keep it as quiet as I could, and luckily it didn't go out into the papers or anything, and I just got away, or it wasn't up on social media, so I just got away nice and quietly. I told my family before I left, and a couple of my mates at school, and just got over. And listen, the people in Newcastle were unbelievable, but it was a totally different experience because I was going over on my own. I flew out of Dublin on my own and went over on my own and stayed with a host family, but they were absolutely brilliant. A club that has a history of taking over Irish players as well, and especially Irish goalkeepers. And Shay Given's a legend over there, and Rob Elliott as well. And no, so I was over there for the last 2 weeks. I was only back there on Friday, but the experience I had over there again was unbelievable.
So how long was the trial period again?
12 days, so I was over there for
Okay,
12 days. Yeah,
that's a long time now, to be fair.
no, it is long, but it actually flies in. You think, geez, I'm away from home for 12 days, but when you're getting to the last couple of days, you're thinking, geez, I wouldn't mind adding on another few at the end, like, because you're
Mm.
just enjoying it so much. And it's just a change of scene as well, and a different way of doing things to over here. But no, it's a very professional environment over there, and people over there are unbelievable as well. Really, really sound.
And so obviously that was a different experience, and the fact that you went over by yourself. How did you find that? Was there any challenges there, or was the fact that you're just chasing the dream, was that enough to keep you going?
No, no. Obviously, I know I really enjoyed it over there, but obviously, you've challenges. You must being at home. You miss the home comforts and being at home, and miss your mates as well. But listen, you can. I was on the phone to my parents, my family, and my friends all the time while I was over there, and then I was studying as well, which kind of took my mind away from the football when I was in the training ground. But no, I really enjoyed it now. But no, I thought it was going to be more challenging than it was away in my own, but no, it was fine. Once you get the first couple of days over and you get
Hmm.
settled in the environment, no, I really enjoyed it now. Really enjoyed it.
And so, obviously, what people don't realize, and I think this is something that a lot of players that go on trial do struggle with, is there is a lot of downtime there, and you obviously occupied a lot of your downtime with studying as well. Was there anything else you were doing with your downtime besides studying and sort of calling your family and friends? Um, was there anything else that did you get to see much of Newcastle?
I know. I think it was me. I done my first day's training in a Newcastle, and then it was actually Eamon Curry. He rang me after my first day of training. He's a big Newcastle fan. He won't mind me saying that. And he rang me and says, "Are you going to the game tonight?" It was against West Ham, and I said, "Oh, I'm looking at tickets here." And he's like, "Oh, just give me a minute." And I didn't really know what he meant. And the next minute, I looked at my emails, and he'd sent me on a ticket. So that was a nice surprise to get. So I got to see. I got to see St James's Park, and the atmosphere in there was unbelievable. And then I was staying with a lad as well, an under 18 player, a striker. He was in the same digs as me, and we went into the town together. And the host family were very good, bringing us into town as well, and got to see around. And but no, there is a lot of downtime, but I think it's up to you what you make of that downtime. And even like there's nothing wrong with staying on maybe half an hour after training and doing a wee bit of injury prevention stuff, or doing a wee bit of gym work, or even just catching up with the boys and getting an insight into what their day-to-day life is like and stuff like that. But no, I was kept occupied with the study anyways, and I think it was a good distraction away from football. So it was
Mm.
nice to come home and you could just forget about, obviously you could reflect on how training went and stuff, but it was nice just the wee distraction, and then keep chipping away at the schoolwork.
Yeah, no, the reason I was asking too is I used to live in Newcastle myself. I was there for 2 years, and I used to actually work at St James's Park. So I'm sure you'll agree it's a good city, and it's an unbelievable stadium as well. And yeah, the Newcastle fans are definitely passionate about their football team.
Yeah, they are passionate. Because I was there at half time and I was sitting on my seat. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was on my phone. I wasn't really looking at the pitch. And next thing I heard this mad roar. I didn't know what it was. You'd swear Newcastle scored a goal, and it was just like a
Mm.
boat coming strolling out onto the pitch. Now it's just like these fans are now they're a different class. Like, but they've that reputation, and I can see why now I've experienced it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's a unique stadium too, in that it's just bang in the city centre essentially,
Yeah.
which is a lot different to clubs up and down Ireland or the UK or whatever. So, no, definitely you're definitely a good club to go over and trial with. And so you're there for 12 days. Obviously, most of that's going to be training. Did you play any games over there?
I actually didn't get to play any games over there.
No.
They just got to see me in training, but I'm pretty sure they've watched back a few Harps games and stuff. But I think they were a wee bit disappointed that they weren't able to get me to play a game. But it is what it is.
Uh, and how did they do things in the terms of training? Because, I thought it was interesting there. You spoke about Nottingham Forest. They had the GoPro and the drones. Was that a similar sort of protocol with Newcastle, or did they do anything different?
No, it was very similar. So after you got your breakfast in the morning, the under 18s and the under 21s keepers all trained in the same group again, and the goalkeeper coaches would just pull us into a meeting room and they'd put up the session plan and go through it. So at least you'd kind of be able to get mentally ready to know what you're going to go into. There'd be crossing, distribution, shot stopping, stuff like that. So you could get your head around that, and at least you have kind of heads up before you go into it. And then you go out onto the pitch, and as I say, the 18s and 21s keepers were together. Then there was normally about two goalie coaches. The 18s and the 21 goalkeeper coach would be there, and as I say, they had the GoPros and the drones, and yet again analysing everything.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, and I suppose, is there anything, maybe it's a difficult question, but is there anything from those experiences that you can take away from you, in the sense that you can bring it into your own game or your preparation and how you go into games moving forward?
I think the big one over there is to just keep your standards sky high every time, so that you're not going into training, or you're not going into the game that you have to up your level. Your level should be up here all the time. I think that's the big one, to just keep your standards sky high all the time. And then, as they say over there, is you make every save before you make it in a game, you make it in training.
Hmm.
That's their big emphasis over there. That just it's repetition. Everything's just repetition.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Like, and I think, yeah, amazing experience. And I think it's fantastic to see another young Donegal goalkeeper getting that opportunity, because I think it's been a while since anyone's been over. I suppose Paddy McGarvey maybe was the last notable person to get that opportunity. I suppose we can touch upon the Ireland experience. You've been in a couple of squads now, up until sort of 18, 19 level. What was your pathway into the Irish squads? I believe was it 15 sort of level you would have started been in and
Um,
about.
my first camp that I got called into was actually the last under 16 camp of the year. Um, so I got called in and we were away to Slovakia. I was kind of the number one for that camp, which I was kind of wee bit surprised at. Um, Came in and made my debut against Latvia, and my parents came over to watch, and it was definitely a dream come true. And then ended up, so that was the last under 16s international break, and then the under 17s assessments started again. They were down in the FAI headquarters down Abbottstown, and was down there for the under 17s. Um, got in as a number two, and I managed to stay in with the under 17s for the whole international season. Got a few games, played against Belgium, Croatia, Denmark, and then we had a friendly over in England against Derby County, and got to see the facilities over there as well. So then, obviously, this summer just gone by, got an email to say that I was gonna be in for the under 19s assessments. Took that as a wee bit of a shock, because I was still eligible to play for the under 18s. Um, so went over to a training camp in Croatia, and then it was coming to the business end of the season. We were playing with Harps on the Friday night, and I left on the Monday, and then I had to fly back on my own on the Thursday. So I played the first game against Greece, and then I had to leave the camp after 5 days and come home. So yeah, that was that was a bit of an experience too, coming home for that. And then the most recent camp we had there was the Euro qualifiers, and no, they were really good. That was another great experience. Moldova. I didn't play, but that was a great experience, and my family came over as well. But no, there's nothing higher in football than playing for your country. I don't feel. I think you could be at the biggest club in the world, but I think going and playing for your country, I think it's definitely the biggest privilege in football.
You said there it was a bit of an experience coming home. Well, what did you mean by that? Was it just?
So we were in Croatia, the camp, but it's actually really high, really hard to fly from Dublin into Croatia. So as a team, we had to fly into Venice and then get a three and a half hour bus journey to Croatia. So they were trying to book flights for me to get home, and it was working out really complicated. So my dad just said, "Listen, I was planning on going over to watch you," so he rented a car, and that morning on the Thursday he picked me up from our hotel, and then we drove 3.5 hours up to Venice, and then he flew home with me on the Thursday evening. So then I played him Friday night against Bray. We drew that game, and it kept the playoffs alive. And then we played Wexford then on the Monday night at home up in Finn Park, and that's when the playoffs slipped away from us. But definitely don't regret coming back for it, because it was a massive game, and now I was delighted. I got the best of both worlds. I got a cap for my country, and then played for Finn Harps as well in a big game, keep the playoff hopes alive. So now I was delighted.
And does it ever get overwhelming, Oshin? Basically, trying to balance everything, and doing all the traveling.
Sometimes it could get overwhelming, but I'm absolutely blessed with the friends and family that I have. Like, and my family are so supportive. Like, I don't think I've been to a Harps game, played in a Harps game this year that my family haven't been at. Well, only the UCD game, but I didn't even know that I was going to be playing in
Mm.
that till 2 or 3 hours before. But now my family have been really good, and even going away, like I was that privileged to have my dad to come over to Croatia, and then my mum came over to Moldova. And even though I didn't play, like, they're still proud as punch. And listen, that's I'm absolutely blessed. Like, and then my friends as well, and they're always keeping in touch. And it can get overwhelming, but I think I've good enough family and friends, and then I think the school's a great distraction as well.
Yeah, I think it's good to have that support, or it's really, really important to have that support network in place. And as you say, you're very grateful and aware of that, which I think goes a long way as well. So, what sort of your current? I suppose the season's over. The League of Ireland season, both underage and senior football is over, but you're sort of still in and out of doing trials, going involved in Irish squads, which is, I think the big challenge there would be a lot of the lads who are over across the water, they're still in full time training. What sort of your training schedule looking like? What sort of things have you been doing to keep yourself ticking over?
Well, I'm luckily enough. I don't think I've had too much downtime since the season actually finished at the end of October. So the last game of the season with Harps, then on the Sunday, obviously was over at Nottingham Forest for 10 days, and then I think I was home for about 4 or 5 days, and then I was away to Moldova with the Irish squad, and that camp was about 11 or 12 days. And then I come home and I was doing my own bits and pieces, and then I was off to Newcastle. Now I'm only back. But last year in the off season, I didn't have much, and Gavin Cullen and Harry Doherty at Cockhill were in touch with me and invited me up to do a bit of training up there, which I really enjoyed. But I haven't had the time this year. I would love to, but I actually haven't had the time this year to go and do a bit of training with the team. But so yeah, hopefully I think I'm home until Christmas at least anyway. So I'll be chipping away doing my own bits and pieces. But I know that Kilmarnock Shamrocks, they've been that good. They're really good. I keep in touch with a lot of the players there, a lot of the coaching staff, and they said anytime you want to come down and do a session, get involved, drop us a message. So I'll be taking them up on that offer now this side of Christmas. So it's a
Hmm.
nice change to be training with the lads that are from your parish, the local boys that you've grown up with. So now I'm looking forward to getting down to Kilmarnock and doing a couple of sessions now before Christmas.
Yeah, and I think that's important too because they're going to keep you humble if nothing else. Like,
Very much.
and the slagging will be straight in. If even if one just goes past you was a worldie, you have to listen to it then, like, and a lot of bragging rights.
The slagging's good. Slagging's good.
Yeah. And no, very good, Oshin. And I suppose you don't need to go into details, but is there any more further opportunities to go over to England with different clubs, or you just sort of taking it, playing it by ear now until Christmas?
I know. I think I'll just be playing it by ear at Christmas. Obviously you hear different murmurs, of interest, but until anything comes through, like, you just have to sit tight and wait. But now I'm very happy with how this year's went, and was happy with how I done when I got my opportunity with Harps, and then I thought I represented myself well with Ireland and gave a good account of myself, and then it was nice acknowledgement to get recognition to get over to England as well to two massive clubs and Nottingham Forest and Newcastle. But now we'll see what happens now this side of Christmas. I think I'll
Mm.
be taking it a wee bit easier until Christmas, and then just get ready to go in January, and we go again with Harps.
Yeah, and what sort of your hopes for this season now, Oshin, moving forward?
this season, again, I just want to play as many games as I can. Obviously, Lucas has been signed there during the week. So now it'll be good competition, but as I was saying to you earlier, competition's good. I think it
Hmm.
pushes. I think it's good for everyone and pushes everyone to the next level. But now I'll be looking to play as many games as I can this year again. Now I really love playing for Harps and pulling on that jersey and playing on Finn Park in front of the fans. It's something special. I want to do that as many times as I can.
Hmm. Yeah, no, very good. Yeah, so listen, we'll go in. I'll not keep you too much longer. I suppose we'll try and see. I'll do some quick fire questions. Maybe try and see if we can get another side of Oshin because yeah, I think what you were touching upon there was really really good. But who right? We'll do maybe a couple of quick fire questions. Who is the best player that you've played with?
The best player I've played with. Oh, I'd say the best player of the training count.
I'll accept that. Yeah, absolutely.
Emmanuel Dennis when I was over with Nottingham Forest. Emmanuel
Okay.
Dennis used to play for Watford and he signed for Nottingham Forest, but I got chucked in on my second day into a finishing drill with him. Yeah, and I knew about him.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Dennis that day.
Okay, that's a good one. Best player that you have played against?
Played against. Oh, played against. I'd probably say Cheeto Obi Martin. Do you know Cheeto Obi Martin that went from Arsenal to Man United? The
Yeah.
captain, the young lad. Oh, he's unbelievable. Played against him with Ireland. Ireland against Denmark. I think he got a hat trick that day.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You had a sore back that day, was it?
Thinking them out that day. All right.
Okay. Very good. Who do you think is the best goalkeeper in the world at the moment?
Best goalkeeper in the world. As much as I'm a Man United fan, I think I'd have to say Alisson at the minute. I think I'd have to
Yeah.
say Alisson at the minute. Once he gets back fit, I feel like he'll still be the best.
And
Gallagher's
what?
close, but
He's starting to challenge it. What do you think? What do you think about Kelleher? Do you think he should? Is it time to move on from Liverpool, or what's your thoughts there?
I think if Alisson, if he does extend his contract, and I think Kit Kelleher needs to go as a number one. I think he's good enough to be a number one in any team in the Premier League, but I think he's just unfortunate he's there while
Mm,
Alisson's there. I think 10 years ago, if Kelleher was at Liverpool, I think he'd definitely be the number one, but I think he's just unfortunate the time when
mm.
he's at Liverpool, but I think he's a top keeper. I think Ireland were lucky to have him.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you think would be a good move for him?
Ooh, what would be a good move? I feel like a Spurs. I feel like a Spurs or a Brighton, one of them clubs.
Okay,
I
yeah.
feel like it's to the Spurs.
I know there's been chat about him going to Chelsea. Do you think that'd be a good move for him?
I think it'd be a good move as well. I think he'd suit any of
Mm,
them top teams, but I
yeah,
think for by his standards, I think he'd want to be going to a top 10 club. I think
yeah,
he's top 10 club.
yeah, absolutely. Like, and I think he hasn't put a foot wrong playing for Liverpool. Like, so as you say, Ireland are really fortunate to have someone like that. Okay, who was your well? I'll give me your top five goalkeepers. Your sort of Mount Rushmore of goalkeepers ever.
Ever. In my mind, they're like technically wise.
No, so just basically, like I think if I was to do one, I'd probably have in Shay Given for obvious reasons. I'd probably
What's
put
your
in, yeah, basically your favorite. So maybe like another one I'd probably have is like a UC Askelainen or something like that. But who's basically not, doesn't have to be necessarily, it's just subjective who you would choose as your top 4 or 5 goalkeepers. People that stand out to you. It could
right?
be
I'll not put them in
anybody.
order. Um, I'll go. Kieran Gallagher's definitely one.
Mm-hmm.
Shay Given. Kieran Gallagher, Shay Given. Then a big one, David De Gea. I go for David De
Mm-hmm.
Gea. Um, I would go for, who else would I go for? Joe Hart. Used to love Joe
Mm-hmm.
Hart growing up. And then one more. Who would I go? One more. Paddy Harkin. They used to play for Kilmarnock. I idolised him
Okay.
growing up. He was unbelievable. But yeah, so when I was coming up through the ranks at Kilmarnock, he was the number one. He played for Kilmarnock for a lot of years, but he was playing for them when they were winning, pre-COVID, and I was about 10 or 11, and I used to go to Paddy used to do academy training with all the keepers in Kilmarnock once a week, and that was the best night of the week training with that man. But yes,
Yeah.
Paddy Harkin definitely.
Very good. Yeah, I love that list. Excellent, Oshin. And would you have been a big Harps fan growing up?
I wouldn't say I was a big Harps fan growing up. I think my first memory of watching a Harps game was when the Brandywell was getting redone, and the Derry was playing up in McGinn, and
That's right.
I got up to McGinn to watch a Harps v Derry game up in McGinn, so it was close to home. But Kieran was
Mm,
playing that day. It was the
that's
first
right.
day I seen Kieran in action, and he was brilliant.
Yeah, I think BJ Banda scored in
Yes,
that game.
well, yeah,
He
BJ.
scored, yeah. And I think Paddy McCourt would have been playing as well. Yeah.
James playing that day. Great
So
game.
you were saying you were in McGinn Park, but close to home. But were you a Derry fan that day, or were you a Harps fan that day?
Definitely a Harps fan. I don't think I've
Right.
ever really been a Derry fan. Um, but no, I wouldn't say growing up I was a die-hard Harps fan, but
Mm,
as I got older and I was in the Nashon Academy, and when getting up to play for Harps was what was the next step you wanted to go up, I started to keep an eye on Harps more, and you hear lads going up to Harps, more local boys. So you'd be keeping an eye on them that way, but no, um, yeah, no, Harps started to get interesting when I was kind of in the Nashon Academy, and you see lads
mm.
going up like just Sean O'Donnell, Damien Duffy, them boys getting moves up to the academy, so be keeping an eye on them boys. And luckily enough, I followed them boys.
Yeah, and you're also, from what I understand too, Oshin, a pretty talented Gaelic footballer as well. Would it be accurate in saying that?
I was good enough with Gaelic back in the day. I don't know what I'd be like if I went back now, but no, that was probably one of the hardest decisions I've had to make in my life, was whether to go down the Gaelic route or the soccer route. And I played my first season with Harps under 15s under Kev McHugh, and I still played for Donegal as well. I played for the Donegal under 15s that year as well, and I managed to juggle the two. And then I got invited into the Donegal minors a year young, to join in with the group. And it was, luckily enough, it was the off season with Harps. It was November and December. It was this time of year actually, and then it was Harps was starting up again the new year, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do both. And I had a lot of conversations with, it was Luke Barrett was the Donegal manager at the time, Luke Barrett from Milford, and a lot of conversations with Kevin McHugh. And I just said to Kevin McHugh, listen, I'm going to give it one more year with Harps. I want to throw the kitchen sink at it and see how it goes. And if it doesn't work out, that I'd be the right age to play county minor. So I'd go back
Mm,
and give the Gaelic a go. But luckily enough, so far that decision's paid off.
yeah, I
That was
think
the
it has.
decision at the time. I was very 50-50. I love playing Gaelic as well, but I'd only really got started with Harps, and I was only kind of getting used to it. So I said I'd give it another year and just throw everything at it. And luckily enough, I got my first cap that year. So now it went well. So
Yeah, it was the right decision. And you played outfields in Gaelic, was it?
yeah, I played midfield in Gaelic. Bit of a contradiction, all right. But now I enjoyed the freedom of playing outfield in Gaelic. Um, now I really enjoyed playing Gaelic. Really enjoyed my time playing for Donegal, and no, it was really good. Really enjoyed it.
And you obviously had a lot of success then. You did make the right decision, and I suppose, well, it seems like it was the right decision now. When you did, was there any more interest then coming back when you were the right age to go and play Donegal Minors?
There was a few conversations, seeing if there was interest to go back, and at the time I just said, listen, it's going well for me at the minute. I made my debut for Harps the last game of the season, and got my first Ireland cap as well that year. And Obviously, there was a wee bit of temptation, even still to this day, there's a wee bit of temptation to go back and play a bit of Gaelic when things maybe aren't going so well. You think, oh, maybe I should have went back and played, but now at the end of the day, I'm really happy with the decision that I made, and yeah, just quite content. So, but I could have went either way. Like, I think it's what you make of an opportunity, and I think if I'd have took either opportunity, it was just what I would make of it, and thankfully, I'm happy with the decision that I made so far, anyways.
No, very good. Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think it certainly pay off, we went a bit of a tangent there. I'll ask you maybe five or six more quick fire questions, then we can wrap things up because I know you got to get stuck into the books there. I'm sure you have a busy school week now after the day off today with teacher training, so I'll not keep you from your homework, Oshin. What is what is your go-to takeaway?
Oh, Chinese.
Chinese, what's the order?
Salt chili chicken, egg fried rice, curry sauce.
Okay, yeah. Would you have that regularly or you just having after games or
Maybe an odd time after a game if I'm home in time. If it's an away game, not a chance.
well yeah, that's it too. Like you have to
Yeah,
think about what
classic
yeah.
way down in the
Uh,
road.
and you don't know what you're going to. You have the local takeaway in Clonmana, is it that you go to?
Yeah, local
Yeah.
place in
What's
Killarney. That's good.
what's it called?
Spring.
Spring. We'll give Spring a shout out there. We might get a sponsorship from Spring. What about this is a tough one, something I sometimes ask students. If you were a soft drink, so like Coca-Cola, Fanta, Sprite, what soft drink would you be?
What soft drink would I be? Football special.
Football special, yeah, keeping it Donegal. Very good. What's besides Gaelic and football, what's your favourite other sport?
Favorite other sport? Oh, I used to love boxing.
Yeah,
Used
D-
to do boxing when I was younger. I love boxing. Like watching boxing as well. Keep a wee eye on it. I think it's
yeah,
great. The training's brilliant.
yeah. That 100% the training's the best part. Is there any boxers at the moment that you quite like, or I know it was Sick and Furies coming up. Is there you've any I suppose which one would you like to see won that fight?
Um, Probably Fury.
Mm,
Keep a wee eye on them. Like, but not probably Fury. Yeah, I like see Fury one.
yeah.
I like
Oh,
to keep an eye on the drama building up to it. I think that's the best part.
mm,
Sometimes the fight can let you down, but that's the best
yeah.
part. You know?
Absolutely. I think the storylines are the best part. I wouldn't be a big fan of staying up to silly o'clock in the morning to watch it, but the press conferences and so on, I'll get behind that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, what about favorite TV show or something that you're watching at the moment?
Favorite TV show? I actually don't watch too much TV.
No? Are you
No.
more YouTube man or
I
listening to music?
I love I'm actually listening to a lot of Ben Foster's podcast at the minute. I'd say you could be keeping an eye on that. The
The
segment.
Fozcast?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
no, it's very good. It's a good laugh as well. It's Shane Long on it there, so it's very good.
Yeah, I listened to Shane Long one was quite good. He did one with James McLean, a live one, which was quite interesting as well. Yeah,
Have to get a look at that.
yeah. Well, no, it's definitely a good one. Recommend that. What is? I'll ask you two more questions, Oshin. What is, I suppose, the biggest or the proudest moment of your career so far?
Um, Probably my debut in Finn Park, keeping a clean sheet, having all my family there. Um, my grandpa got up to that game as well, and he's probably a big influence for me as well. Probably my top supporter, and having all my family there, and then obviously my international debut as well. Really, really enjoyed that. As I say, like, there's no better feeling than playing for your country. I think. Um,
Hmm.
it's quality. And then I'd say they're both up there. They couldn't pick one. It'd be my debut in Finn Park or my international debut.
Yeah, yeah, very good. And final one, Oshin. Listen, you've got a mature head on very young shoulders, and I have to say I've been really impressed by sort of uh, yeah, your approach towards football and how you've been able to balance things. But what is the biggest lesson that you've learned in regards to football, or maybe just in regards to life?
What you get in, you put back. What you get in, you get back. Sorry. So what you
Yeah,
put in the effort, so the effort that you put in, you get back. Sorry, I said that the wrong way.
yeah,
Um, no, I think like if you put in the effort, put in the hard work, make the sacrifices, I think 99% of the time you get it back. And if you don't put that effort in, like don't expect anything back. I think that's the biggest lesson. I think that's the biggest lesson that I've learned.
yeah. No, so I think that's a good note to end on, Oshin. And as I say, I really, really appreciate you coming on. Best of luck now and moving forward to Harps into the new season. And hopefully you'll get another couple of opportunities to get over to England and get a few more international caps. And yeah, we'll hopefully maybe get you on down the line when you get your senior debut or perhaps when you get that big contract over in England. So fingers crossed for you. And as
Fingers
I say, I
crossed.
really appreciate it.
Cheers. Thanks very much for having me on. Really enjoyed
All
it.
right.
Very much.
Perfect. Right, folks, that's another episode of the Friel Goalkeeper podcast. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for future episodes moving forward.